Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. When the truth finally comes out, it doesn't tiptoe into the room. Oh no, it kicks down the door, turns on the lights, and dares everybody to look. For too long, people have whispered, speculated, and wondered. Where did the money go? Who was responsible? Will we ever know the real story? And then, boom, just like that, the truth is laid bare. Undeniable, unshakable. And let me tell you, when millions are involved, the truth isn't just a revelation, it's a revolution. Truth has a way of rising, no matter how long it's been buried. You see, you can cover it up, you can push it down, you can hide it behind closed doors and heavy curtains, but sooner or later, it finds a way to the surface. It may take years, even decades, but the truth is relentless. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't waver, and it certainly doesn't disappear just because someone wants it to. History has shown us time and time again that no matter how powerful the people trying to suppress the truth may be, no matter how deep they try to bury it, there will always come a moment when the weight of deception can no longer hold it down. Like a seed planted in the ground, truth has an uncanny way of breaking through the soil, reaching toward the light, demanding to be seen. People have tried for centuries to manipulate, twist, and distort reality for their own gain, believing that as long as they control the narrative, they control the outcome. But what they always fail to realize is that truth is not something you can own. It's not something you can keep locked away in a vault or buried under lies. It is living, breathing, and always moving, like water carving its way through rock, like fire refusing to be contained. The most dangerous thing about hiding the truth is that the unexpected ways, a forgotten document, a slip of the tongue, a single brave soul who decides that the burden of secrecy is too heavy to carry. And when that moment comes, when the truth finally rises after being buried for so long, it doesn't just change the story, it changes everything. Money doesn't just disappear, it tells a story. Every single dollar that moves, every check that's written, every transaction that takes place leaves a footprint. It has a path, a purpose, a reason for existing. Money isn't some ghost that vanishes into thin air. It's a storyteller, revealing who made the decisions, who benefited, and who was left behind. Think about it. If you follow the money, you follow the choices, you follow the priorities, you follow the values of the people who had control over it. Money doesn't hit one of the most honest things in the world. You can fabricate words, you can spin a narrative, you can try to cover up the truth, but numbers don't deceive. They sit there, silently speaking volumes, waiting for someone with the patience and the courage to listen. Where money goes says everything about what mattered most to the people handling it. Did it go toward building something meaningful? Did it serve a greater good? Did it create opportunities, uplift communities, and leave a legacy worth remembering? Or did it vanish into hidden accounts, luxury indulgences, and things no one wants to admit? The thing about money is that it always leaves a trace, a shadow, a record that, no matter how well someone tries to conceal it, will eventually come to light. You can try to erase the paper trail, but patterns don't disappear. They repeat, they reveal, they expose. And when people start asking questions, when they start looking closely at where the millions went, they're not just chasing numbers, they're uncovering motives. They're discovering truths that were never meant to see the light of day. The story money tells is not just about wealth, it's about integrity. It's about character. It's about the choices people make when they think no one is watching. And the most ironic thing, the ones who try the hardest to hide the story are often the very ones who end up proving it. Because money, no matter how deep it's buried, will always find a way to speak. And when it does, the world listens. Accountability is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It is not something we can choose to have only when it's convenient, nor is it a privilege reserved for a select few. It is the foundation of trust, the cornerstone of integrity, and the very thing that separates chaos from order, deception from truth, and corruption from justice. Without accountability, power runs unchecked, decisions go unquestioned, and the very fabric of fairness begins to unravel. We live in a world where far too often people in positions of influence believe they can operate without answering to anyone. They make choices that impact lives, move money in ways that benefit only themselves, and hide behind carefully crafted stories designed to keep the public in the dark. But here's the truth: real leadership, real responsibility, real honor comes from standing up and owning every action, every decision, every consequence. Accountability is not about blaming. It is not about tearing people down. It is about ensuring that those who hold power also hold the weight of their decisions. It is about making sure that when something goes wrong, when money disappears, when promises are broken, when people are betrayed, there is a reckoning. A moment where those responsible must look the world in the eye and answer the one question that always matters: why? When we allow people to act without accountability, we send a dangerous message. We tell the world that deception is acceptable, that power is above the law, that those who take advantage of others will never face consequences. But when we demand accountability, we change the story. We say that honesty matters, that truth matters, that no matter how high someone rises, they are never above responsibility. True accountability is not just about justice, it's about restoring faith. Faith in leadership, faith in fairness, faith in the idea that when wrong is done, there will be consequences. Because without accountability, trust is nothing more than an illusion. And once that illusion shatters, it's nearly impossible to put back together. So let this be a reminder. Holding people accountable is not an option. It is not something we do only when the evidence is overwhelming, when the pressure is too great, or when the public demands it. It is something we must require from the very beginning, at every level, in every decision. Because a world without accountability is a world where anything can be stolen, anyone can be deceived, and no one is ever truly safe. And that is not a world we should accept. Every dollar spent is a reflection of priorities. It speaks louder than words, revealing what truly matters to the people in control. You can talk about values, mission statements, and good intentions all day long, but at the end of the day, the way money moves tells the real story. It shows where loyalty lies, what goals are being pursued, and who is benefiting the most. Look at any organization, any government, any individual with resources, and trace the path of their spending. It's there that you will see their true focus. Is the money being invested in people and communities and growth, in building something that lasts? Or is it funneled into luxuries, hidden in places no one is meant to find, spent in ways that contradict everything they claimed to stand for? Money, when spent with integrity, has the power to transform. It builds schools, feeds the hungry, creates opportunities, and lifts entire generations. It funds innovation, strengthens economies, and provides security where it's needed most. But when spending is driven by greed, by selfish ambition, by a desire to maintain power rather than serve a purpose, it leaves behind a trail of broken promises and misplaced trust. You can always tell what a person, a company, or a nation truly values by where their money flows. Some will say they care about the people, but their spending will tell you they only care about profit. Some will promise fairness, but their budgets will show favoritism. Some will claim to fight for justice, but their transactions will reveal a system designed to serve only a few. Priorities are not written in speeches or posted in press releases. They are written in financial records, in budgets, in the quiet decisions that determine who gets what and why. And once you start paying attention, once you stop listening to words and start following the money, you begin to see the truth with absolute clarity. When the truth comes out, it sets more than one person free. It is never just about the one who speaks it is about everyone who has been affected by the silence, everyone who has lived under the weight of deception, everyone who has felt the burden of secrets they didn't even know existed. Truth is not just a revelation, it is a release, a breaking of chains, a moment that shifts the balance of power, exposing what was hidden, and allowing those who have suffered in the shadows to finally step into the light. For every person who dares to speak up, there are countless others who have been waiting for that moment, waiting for confirmation that what they suspected was real, waiting for validation that they weren't imagining things, waiting for the courage to rise within themselves and say, "Me too. I saw it. I lived it. I know it's true." Because truth is not just a single voice, it is a ripple effect. It spreads, it reaches, it awakens those who have been afraid to acknowledge what they already knew deep down. And it does more than just expose wrongdoing. It liberates the ones who have carried the guilt of staying silent. It frees those who were manipulated into believing a false narrative. It gives people back their agency, their ability to make informed decisions, their right to stand on solid ground rather than shifting sand. When truth is revealed, it doesn't just change circumstances, it changes people. It forces accountability. It reshapes perspectives. It dismantles illusions that have been carefully constructed over time. There is a cost to speaking the truth, but there is also a cost to hiding it. The weight of a lie does not rest on one person's shoulders, it presses down on everyone connected to it. And when reality is no longer obscured, there is a collective sigh of relief, a release of tension, an undeniable recognition that the world will never be the same again. The truth has a way of rising, no matter how long it's been buried. Money doesn't just disappear, it tells a story. Accountability is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Every dollar spent is a reflection of priorities. And when the truth comes out, it sets more than one person free. So now that the truth is here, the question is, what will we do with it? Because truth alone is not enough. It demands action. It demands change. It demands that we no longer accept secrecy where transparency is required, silence where voices need to be heard, or injustice where fairness must prevail. We cannot be bystanders in this moment. We cannot hear the truth and then pretend we didn't. Because once something is revealed, it can never be unseen. And once we know better, we have a responsibility to do better. So let this be more than just a revelation. Let it be a reckoning. Let it be a turning point. Let it be the moment when we refuse to let power operate without accountability, when we refuse to let wealth be a shield for corruption, when we refuse to allow truth to be buried ever again. Because once the truth is out, the only thing left to decide is what happens next.